Don't be afraid.
This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Trailer to Reaction. What I'm looking at today is a trailer for Marvel Studios' Echo, which is a series on Disney Plus, which is firmly within the Daredevil universe. And the thing about Echo is that apparently it's going in a more NC-17 direction, kind of similar to that of the Netflix series, which is more adult and implying more violence and overt depictions of sexuality if that's required for the story. And that's a good thing, because as many problems as the Netflix shows had, and they had plenty, their thrust in terms of who they were aimed at wasn't one of them. They were adult-oriented shows, and Marvel Studios needs to do this. And as I've said before, Marvel Studios, if they're to work on television, need to do a few things. To vary the content, which is to say you have some shows which are aimed at a younger audience, though also you have shows aimed at a more adult audience. And have their shows be less expensive. I'm hearing insane things about the cost of Marvel Studios television shows, and that needs to stop. That needs to be reined in. So not only should they be cheaper, now keep in mind, I think there was a rumor that the cost of She-Hulk Attorney at Law was something like $28 million an episode or some such figure, which is bonkers. They should not cost that much. In fact, I would argue that Marvel television shows shouldn't cost any more than, let's say, $1 million an episode. Maybe $2 an episode. We're talking about 6, 7, 8 episode seasons. So $2 million an episode would, by my reckoning, be pushing it. You can have feature films that cost less than $2 million to produce, significantly less. So that Marvel Studios is spending so much on their television content, to me, is a Disney problem. Which is to say, if Disney said you cannot produce a show for $28 million, they would not produce shows for $28 million. Disney has given them too much of a lead, and they're just taking as much as they can. Stop doing it. And I think most importantly, Marvel Studios television shows should be about introducing new characters, for the most part. Stop revisiting things we have already seen on screen. Stop doing it, because it creates the impression that you need to see this to understand that. Stop doing it. Some people aren't going to watch Marvel shows on Disney Plus just out of principle alone. You should not have to watch 50 million hours of some television series or series to understand what's happening in the movies. And that's the whole point behind using characters that are new. That way, there's no interlink between them. You can watch the movies, you can watch the television. It doesn't matter. You'll learn more if you watch the television, but you're not going to lose anything if you miss it. And, as I said, you're introducing new characters that people haven't heard of. For instance, Nova would be a great character to introduce on Disney+. Why? Because, for whatever reason, James Gunn didn't like the character. I think Nova's awesome, personally, but James Gunn didn't like the character and didn't introduce him in some way in his Guardians of the Galaxy's movies. That was, I think, a stupid mistake. You could even have just a few minutes of having, what's the organization on Xandar? The Nova Corps. You could have literally 10 minutes of discussion over, we've heard that Ronan is such a threat, and he's on his way here. We're preparing something that can perhaps remove that threat. And that's it. That way, you've seeded Nova. And you've done it in such a way that you can pay back on that, as opposed to the short-sightedness of James Gunn, who doesn't even relate to the character, pretends he doesn't exist, which is a real stupid idea, to be totally blunt. In any case, let's look at the trailer for Marvel Studios' Echo.
Maya. I see everything that you are. I always have.
Is that the leader he's lining up?
Don't be afraid. You have so much pain in you. So much rage that you can't contain it. You and I are the same. So, who's the monster?
Well, that was a trailer for Marvel Studios' Echo, and it looks awesome. And props to Vincent D'Onofrio, who plays the Kingpin like there was no other Kingpin before him. Now, that's not to criticize Michael Clarke Duncan's Kingpin. I think he was actually pretty good. But Vincent D'Onofrio brings a very broken quality to everything he does, for the most part. And his Kingpin seems particularly damaged. And that works well for the character. Echo looks great, and it's something that shouldn't be on Disney Plus, I should also say. It should be on Hulu. Hulu should be the channel from which all these M17 adjacent Marvel shows appear on. They should not be on Disney Plus. Disney Plus is a place for family-friendly fare. They as in Disney, owns Hulu. Stop programming Hulu shows for Disney Plus. Put Echo on Hulu. Period. Put the upcoming Daredevil Born Again on Hulu. Why? Because tonally, it's going to be more in line with the Marvel Netflix shows and Daredevil, which is to say intense violence, cursing, and potentially even sexual situations. Disney needs to stop trying to put round pegs in square holes. Use your content channels to their best possible ability. Stop putting adult stuff on Disney Plus. It is not geared to that. It doesn't fit the Disney ethos. Instead, use Hulu for it. I've recently read in the trades that Disney has purchased the outstanding shares of Hulu from Comcast. They own it in its entirety. Use it. Start putting more adult-oriented content, be it from Marvel Studios or anywhere else, on Hulu. So what do you think? This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Trail into Reaction. Do you agree, disagree? Let me know down below. And as usual, consider a like or a follow. Peace.